Right, so you can see on LO1, it asks for an analysis and an explanation of models of learning. Then it asks for an analysis of learning preferences, and then an explanation of how identifying those preferences takes care of individual preferences and enables inclusive teaching and learning. Now, once that learning objective's complete, the rest of them are just separate entities. So it's analyse theories and principles and models of communication, analyse models and principles of assessment. Oops, where have you gone? Analyse models of curriculum development, and then analyse theories and models of reflection and evaluation. Now, I've put some stuff on the VLE which will be useful, and that example I've sent you will guide the way you need to go, or the format you need to use. Yeah. But
sure. Yeah.
what I should do is look at, if you look at the amplification. We go past there, we go to 2.1, yeah? Sometimes what I've done a number of times to highlight things is to look at, we're looking at communication here at 2.1, models of communication. On here it suggests some people, Piaget, Vygotsky, and Bernstein. One of those things, if you Google any one of those, it will give but put communication after the name. So if you're going to look at Vygotsky, put Vygotsky communication theories, yeah. And what will come up there is a whole host of stuff on what Vygotsky said on communication, yeah. Now, I always suggest that you just make some notes from that. And then once you've made your notes, write your piece. And your analyses then is what you think of it, yeah?
Yeah, sure.
How useful it is or not useful, or ideas from it that are good or not good will form part of your, or most of your analysis. And, you know, you need 2 or 3 of them to look at. Once you've done that, say yeah.
Is it right? It's under the learning objective 2 and criteria 2.1, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. 2.1. Analyze theories and principles and models of communication. Yeah.
It is identical title to the example document you sent me.
Yeah,
probably.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, I got
the document. The document that I sent you will cover them all. It'll go right through. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But starting from the 2.1,
analyze
theory, principle. Yeah.
Analyze theory, but again, use your own research as well by just researching 2 or 3 of these, and then make some notes on them. And then when you write your piece in the format that I've sent you, then you'll be just writing your analysis off the notes you've made. And then the next bit of it, the second part, is explain. It's a pure explanation of the ways in which those theories and principles of communication can be applied when you're teaching, yeah, in your teaching assessment, yeah. And that is the format for the rest of the unit, yeah. So we move on to 3.1, analyze theories, principles and models of assessment, yeah. And on here it gives you some ideas, PETIS, medal and mission, check and correct, ATHE, 2-way feedback, including questioning approaches, William. Yeah, those are the, just look that a minute, I keep getting messages coming on my screen.
Sure, yeah.
I've tried to cancel those, but they keep appearing back. Anyway, and just to have again, just research those and make some notes, and then do your analysis from that. And then again, it's the same format exactly. Explain how those theories and principles can be applied to assessment and assessing learning. So there are a whole host of assessment methods and assessment practices that that differ in what's actually being assessed. So academic work is usually assessed by assignment like this, or it can be assessed by, if it's teaching, it can be assessed by observation, by watching teaching observations. If it's assessing, it could be a video of, let's say, you giving feedback to a student. Yeah, those are all methods of me assessing you. Yeah, who was assessing somebody else. Yeah, gets complicated. But there are a whole host of things in here. Explain ways in which can be right. So it's looking right of assignment brief, which I've just mentioned, formative assessment, traffic light system, where what's good, bad, and indifferent. Questioning the cause of thinking, diagnostics, what's reliable, practical, what is it valid? Is there enough? Is it sufficient? And developing strategies for constructive feedback. Now, for instance, our strategy for feedback here is that you write me a piece. I will then read the piece and go through it against the criteria, and then give you feedback from there in a formative way. I use word review, and once we've completed word review, I will present you with one of these. Only this time it will have your name in here. It will say assessment front sheet. And when the piece you've written here, I will respond whether it's achieved or not. And I'll write my assessment of it here. Yeah. So I will, when you send me your first piece of work, I will make this sheet out and put it at the head of your work. Yeah. And then every time I send it back, you just send me the same piece back if you've added work to it. Yeah, if you've completed it, fine. But if you've not completed it, just send me back the bit you've done. I will give you some feedback on that and then send it back to you. But keep sending the same one backwards and forwards, otherwise we end up with about 4 versions.
Sure.
What I will do then, as we go through that, once it's complete, it will have all A's in here. What I will ask you to do, I change this document here and I put page number instead of not yet achieved, and then you just write the page number of your document where that evidence is. Yeah. Anywhere on this unit you won't, because there isn't much scope for it, but in other units that we will do later, you will have lots of documentary evidence that you've produced. Like in unit 1, it will ask you to produce an individual learning plan. It will ask you to produce evidence of initial assessment, where you will use the documents that you've already done that with, or somebody else has, and then explain how they work in your script. But you'll then be able to refer to the document as well. And as I said, my assessment will then go in there as well. And when all the A's are down here, all the page numbers in there, and all my assessments are written in here, I will then give you final summative feedback here, put my name and sign it there and put the date on. And if we've done it at 2 and 3 stages, then there'll be 2 or 3 dates on there as well. And of course, that will go. And literally that's how we will get through the unit. So, like I said, I'll go back to the other sheet. So now we move on from assessment. The next subject in LO4 is curriculum development. How do we arrive at a curriculum for a scheme of, well, it's basically a curriculum or scheme of work. So examples of schemes of work, yeah? Discussion on what's influenced that scheme of work and why it's gone together. How does it meet the requirements externally and internally? So theories and principles, you've got people, again, you can research, Broad, Kelly, Rogers, Skinner and Watson, Piaget, Stenhouse and Skilbeck, Stenhouse and Tyler actually, and Skilbeck. These are all people who've got theories or they've put models in of curriculum development, which you can read about. Like I say, if you Google them, you can bring them up, read some information about, make some notes, and then you can write your analysis off those notes for curriculum development.
Sure.
Again, 4.2 is which of those. Again, what I would suggest is you've got individual research into your own curriculum area, and then actually say, produce a written report of how your curriculum have been developed and where it meets any of these offers of model, whether the models fit with what you do. Because it looks at a number of UK things here which you won't have, which is natural curriculum or curriculum 2000, but you will have different levels of learner. You'll have school age, and then what we have 16 to 19, which is after school, and adult. And we have different ways of training in there. We've got diplomas, we've got apprenticeships. We have something. Well, I don't know whether you have them in Korea. We've developed them over a number of years, and I know Korea was looking at the model. We have, for each industry, like engineering or construction or anything of that nature, we have a sector skills council who lays down the standards that people have to achieve to achieve a specific qualification. Like if you've got, in simplest terms, if you've got a young person that's gone in and he's training to be a welder, yeah? He will have to achieve a certain standard in there, yeah?
Sure.
To achieve that. And Korea, I think, developed their own standards, but used quite a bit of UK modelling in there, as well as some American mixed in. So
we do have a similar things as well.
Yeah, you do. I know.
Nationwide, yeah. They
adopted a very similar model way back in the 1970s, I think it was. And of course, it's as Korea's economy's moved on, that's developed exponentially. So that's looking at
sure.
ways in which models and theories of curriculum development can be applied in developing curricula in your own area. Yeah. It just goes into how curricula is developed, and it mentions broadening horizons, opportunities for blended learning, supporting learner study, paperless portfolios, which is what we're doing basically. We have a paperless portfolio. We have blended learning, in which case we do deliveries like this. You're then able to contact me at any time by other means to get further information. And we have an intranet. We have a Moodle or a virtual learning environment that you're able to access as well. So that's blended learning basically. Now 5 is slightly different than the others. What 5 does is put into context something that, as a teacher, you know yourself. After every session that you deliver, an automatic response comes in. How did that go? Did it go okay? What bits didn't go okay? Do you think you could have done something better? You go through that process every time you do a class, at least I do, but I know that a lot of other teachers that I speak to do exactly the same thing. A number of theorists, Kolb, Honey and Mumford, Sean, Greenaway, Gibbs, John's description collection, and of course look at the critical incident approach. and Brookfield's critical lenses. These are all theories or models of self-reflection. And what basically, you look at those different models and make an analysis of them, and then explain which models, theories and reflection evaluation can be applied to reviewing your own practice. So what you'll do is look at what you actually do in that respect in terms of improving your own delivery. So 5 is slightly different as it's centered on yourself. But there's lots of information on here on what to look up, with regard to putting your piece together on that. But as I say, analyses will be slightly longer and reflection and explanations will probably be briefer. But that's literally the easiest way to go through this unit to achieve all the criteria without literally missing anything. So, where are you up to with Unit 1? Learning Objective 1, sorry. What have you done on this yet?
I have to start, I think.
Oh, right, okay, well, I'll go back to Unit 1 then and reflect on this, because as I say, it's slightly different one, is that it puts 4 together, and the others just use 1, sorry, it puts 2 together, whereas the others just use 1. So this is an analysis of the theories and principles and models of learning. And again, your theorists and models developer, Anderson, Gagne, Vygotsky again. Vygotsky has a lot to say about a lot of things, and quite a lot of his stuff is good, to be honest. He's well worth having a look at. Bruner, of course, and Ausbell. Freer, and I think Hero is in there as well. So these are different approaches. You've got humanists, you've got behaviorists, and you've got constructivists in there. All have different methods of how learning actually takes place. So again, you can look these guys up, do a bit of research on them, make some notes, and then just do your piece from that.
Okay.
The second bit is explain ways in which those theories can be applied to teaching, learning, and assessment. Even to the point of, if you think that some of those don't apply to you, say why. So it's looking at applied theories, individual learning plans, I think everybody does. Smart targets, setting smart targets for learners, constructive approaches, graphic organisations, and matching and labelling type activities. Those are where learning assessment takes place. 1.3 moves on to learning preferences. So these are models of learning preferences. Honey and Mumford come in here again. Gardner, Caulfield, Entwistle's metacognition. These are all worth having a look at and making some notes about for your analysis. So, as I say, there's not much activity in here. Delivery guidance is just a tutor presentation, then individual research activity. And 1.4 finally is explain how identifying and taking account of learners' individual needs and preferences enables inclusive teaching and learning and assessment. So this is where response to the learning preferences, the importance of a multi-sensory approach to engage all learners. As you know, learners have different learning styles. You've got audio learners, etc., etc. If you use, are you familiar with the term VARK?
Which one? VARK?
VARK, V-A-R-K.
V-A-R-K, no.
It's visual, audio, and well, there are the different ones, but mainly it's kinesthetic, and that is people who learn by seeing or feeling or touching.
I see. Interesting.
it took me a while to learn that I was not an audio learner. If I went and sat at a lecture, after about 15 minutes, I'd dozed off. I just wasn't learning. But put something in front of me that I can take to pieces, or put a video on that I can watch, or something of that nature, and I'm there. Yeah, no problem at all. But it was many years before I found out that that was my learning style. So yeah, you could there's a piece on VARC on the VLE on there that you can look up. Yeah, in fact, I think on the other sheet I may have mentioned it.
So in my first draft of the assignment, do I have to cover LO1, 1.1, and 1.2? Is that right?
Yeah, but what you'll find is once you've done those first two, you'll be able to follow the next two fairly easily. Yeah.
I see. Then I can move on. Yeah.
Yeah. Once you've done those first two, and it's done exactly what I've said, you've done some research, you've made your analysis, and then you've explained how those could be used in teaching practically. Once you've actually gone through that process, you'll either say, you want me to have a look at it first, or you'll be able to say to yourself, I think I can do that, and I'll do the next two, and then send it. But that you make that decision yourself. Yeah. If you've done one and two, and you feel confident it looks okay, given the example that you've seen, yeah, move on and do the next two, and then send them to me, and then. What it is, what Ramon's mentioned is that we've got an EQA visit next week, and I want to try and put as much material in front of her as possible. Because if we maintain our direct claim status, it means that once you've completed the qualification, we can automatically just apply for certification. Because the EQA will have had a look at some of the work. So
I'm sorry. Can you say that again, Phil?
Right.
And the
EQA comes in next Thursday. And she's only coming in for a short visit in the morning. What I want to do is try and put as many students that are doing assessment, IQA, and teaching in front of her, so she can have a look at a sample. To see that the everything's going okay. Once we get our direct claim status renewed, it means then we don't have to wait for another EQA visit before we can certificate. You see, we can just automatically do it, a claim certification, because they're happy with our monitoring system, if you like. Yeah. So that's what the pressure was for next week. That's all. But yeah, if you do that after one and two, you feel confident, by all means, move on to the next two. But again, by all means, if you've done one and two and want me to look at it first, fine, that's okay.
Okay.
Just mail it me across, and I will. I'll get straight onto it. So, have you got any questions about that, Michael, before we close today? You feel
yeah. I will try to spend more times, definitely, over the weekend, and then I hope I can, submit part of my first assignment, by Monday.
Yeah. Sound. What I'll do, in the meantime, if you are stuck with anything or I'm not sure about anything, just send me a text. Yeah?
Sure. Thank you very much.
I'll follow that up straight away then, obviously.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, Michael. Thanks for attending today. I'll close the meeting now and hope to hear from you soon.
Okay, great. Thank you. Have a nice day.
I will. Thanks, Eb, to you. Have a nice evening. Bye to you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.